In a world where nothing makes sense, listen as Dre and Ron try to do just that. Welcome to Augmented Reality.
Welcome to Augmented Reality, man. I'm Dre.
I'm Ron. What's good, man?
Man, I'm chilling, bro. You know what I'm saying? Another day above ground, you know what I'm saying? And proudly keeping myself out of the Me Too movement. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
No comment.
Yeah. Me Too movement and away from cancel culture, you know what I'm saying? You know, that shit is running rampant here lately.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Like, political correctness is all the rage.
Man, and it's crazy. It's crazy. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah. It was coming.
Yeah, it was
Let's
coming.
jump right in, though, man. Let's get it.
You know what really grinds my gears? You, America. Fuck you!
So, I'm going to kick this one off this week, man. We've talked in the last few episodes about improving community relations and things that we can help to alleviate black on black crime. We looked at possible solutions and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And toward the end of the last podcast, I brought up about putting a neighbor back in the hood.
Yep.
I have a situation where my neighbor is new to this area. She's been here a couple years now, probably close to a couple years.
But fairly new.
As opposed to me, who've been over this way over 30 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when you come into a new community, you should try to get the pulse of that community, right? What grinds my gears is when someone new comes into a situation that's already established and try to enforce their will on that situation. And you don't even know the complete vibe of the whole thing. You don't know the history. You don't know, and I'm referencing to the parking situation I have here. Like this lady,
okay,
we have limited parking in front of my house, right?
Uh-huh.
And at one point there was no parking out here until years ago. My dad fought to get parking out here. So everyone that's been around this area that owns knows that, hey, whoever Ron got should have a parking space, right? Because of my dad. You know what I'm saying? So this lady comes in and we try to tell her the dynamic of it. Like, hey, you got a couple spots back there close to your house. But, this lady insists on having company and they just randomly park in your spot. When you approach the owner, they get an attitude. You know what I'm saying? And then they looking at you like you did something wrong. And so now I see her being petty where she'll take up 2 spots with one car just so nobody else can park there until her son come home or something like that. To me, that's not being community.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's taking a neighbor out of the hood. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And previous neighbors that lived there, right? I would look out for them. One lady had young kids. I said, hey, I can go park around the corner in the winter because I got a truck and I'm not going to get stuck. And you know what I'm saying? You need to walk your kids close to your house. That was understanding. It was neighborly, dude. Like, I was looking out for you to be, but for this lady to be petty, it's like I want to call everybody I know and just have them park their cars out there.
So I'm curious because now I'm wondering, like, the parking situation. Now, do you guys have marked spaces on the street, or it's just like,
no,
it's just known that, hey, this is my house. I park in front of my house. Is it on a public street, or do you guys have like a parking lot? What kind of deal you guys?
So it's off street parking off of a busy street, and that's another part of it too. So there's like a 4-lane street that my dad forced them to build us some off-street parking because when they redid the street, they didn't take in consideration the residents.
Right. So for those who don't understand what off-street parking is, it's pretty much you have like what some would consider like a parking lot. You know what I'm saying?
It's not even really a lot. It's a lane attached to the street.
Oh, like so it's on. Yes. So wait. It's actually on the street. It's just you guys have a parking lane. Okay, for sure.
Exactly.
All right.
What really pisses me off is because if I got to sit, I can sit in traffic while I'm waiting for her to get somebody to move their car. And people are flying past, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. She doesn't know the history. My family has lost about 7 to 8 cars out there due to traffic accidents and things like that. So she don't know this. Yeah, well, she doesn't know.
You can't really expect her to know that your family has lost 7 to 8 cars. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
Yeah,
right,
for sure.
But what I'm saying is that's part of the history as to why it is like that. No one else complains about it. No one else says a thing. Like, I'm very accommodating. I only have 2 cars out there at the time. So if you need an extra spot, just park. You know what I'm saying? My thing is, as long as myself and my sister who stays with me has a spot, that's the only thing that should matter. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't have to come home from work and not have a place to park. So that's my point.
All right, so let me explain my parking situation here. Now, luckily, I have a driveway. Both my vehicles fit into my driveway. But in my neighborhood, man, parking, you could drive around for an hour and just looking for a parking spot. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of understand what you're saying. You know, is your parking real like dense over there? I don't even know if that's the word I'm looking for here.
Yeah, it's very limited, dude. Like, by the houses, like, so I stay in a townhouse, right?
Yeah.
I own my house, and the lady across from me owns hers, right?
Uh-huh.
So the guy that owns the rest of the unit that he rents out, we have an agreement with him that there's parking in the back in the alley, right?
Uh-huh.
We have an agreement with him as owners that all of his tenants are to park in the back, since there are so few spots up front, right? So that's an understanding. She doesn't even know that. And because her house is separate from that,
right,
from the townhomes.
Now, are there only 3 units?
No, there's a total of 8.
And
four in each unit. She's in the house next to it. She's in the house next to it. She's not even in one of the townhomes.
Got you.
If that makes sense.
No,
right?
Yeah. So she's like in the back house type of deal.
But it's right next door to me, though. It's off to the side of me. Our houses go back. The townhouse units go back.
Okay. All right.
And she's So it's 2 townhouse units side to side. Then it's houses on each side of the 2 townhouse units.
All right. So have you discussed this with her though?
I've tried.
For sure.
One of the problems is that my sister gets more frustrated than me, right?
For sure.
My sister, like, they clash. And I was about to say,
well, that's understandable. That's understandable. Right. You know what I'm saying? I can understand that. So let's get back to what's really grinding your gears about this? The fact that she's not willing to work with you, or the fact that she's just being petty?
It's the petty nature of it, right? And I almost slipped up and said something that's going to actually lead into our meat and potatoes today. Mm-hmm. I almost slipped up and said a stereotype, like, it's 2 angry black women going at it. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
And she's even going at it with the lady that owns the other unit over parking. And that lady has told her, like, she knows the history. No one was parking out there when they first redid the street because they were giving out tickets. My dad would get a ticket on his car. My mom would get a ticket on her car. And anybody we knew that parked there was getting tickets every day, 2-3 times a day.
For sure.
And my dad took every ticket down to the village. Then he took it to the state. He looked into getting a lawyer. It said, we had parking prior to you accepting this deal for the county to redo this street. You didn't take us into consideration, so I won't pay any of these tickets. None of the other people that lived over here fought. That's why it's an understanding with the other owners that we only got 2 or 3 cars out here. It's more spaces than 2 or 3. So yeah, you guys own, you could park up here. But Ron's people should have a spot because his father fought for all of these spots. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. But, you know what I'm saying, is that's kind of like a unspoken agreement. You know what I'm saying? It's an unspoken agreement that she's not really, that you can't really hold her to, because that's not an agreement that she made. You know what I'm saying? Now she's renting, like you said she is. You know what I'm saying? You could talk to her The owner
her owner's under the same.
So maybe that's
impression as well.
Yeah, so maybe that's a conversation for the owner and the tenant to have. You kind of stay out of that, let them handle that, and then he'll handle it as he sees fit.
I don't know. I just found it funny.
Yeah, for sure.
Like she's being petty. Like I only got 2 people over here, but somebody came to visit my sister the other day, and ever since then she's been parking her one car in between 2 spots to make sure she has a spot when she gets home. Uh-huh. But any other time she'll have any of her guests just park anywhere, all willy-nilly, and the people that live over here don't have a spot. You know what I'm saying? So I just find it hilarious, petty, and ironic.
For sure.
And my nephew was petty with her one day because he's the fire chief, and he parked at her spot. And I was like, I want her to come tell you to move, because if some fire happened at her house, pretty sure the response is going to be a little slower. So that was me being petty.
For sure.
Let's move on, man.
For sure. That sound only means that we are looking for the This Week in the News. To start it off, man, just now, breaking news. Patrick Mahomes signs a 10-year extension to continue being the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. Do you think that it's a well-deserved extension, or do you think they just pretty much trying to lock him down so they won't go through the same thing that the Cowboys are going through with Dak Prescott?
So Mahomes is already on the Hall of Fame path, right? MVP already, Super Bowl MVP. I think it was smart. The terms of the deal haven't came out yet. Right. So I can't give 100% judgment as far as how good the contract is, in my opinion. But I would have locked him down too.
It could actually, and it could actually come out cheaper. So keeping with the
maybe
sports,
he should have.
Go ahead.
Maybe. I mean, the deal might turn out to be like Bobby Bonilla. You never know. He might have might get a Patrick Mahomes day for the next 40 years.
No one will ever have a Bobby Bonilla contract ever again.
That goes to 2035, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So Bobby Bonilla is getting paid well after Bryce Harper. That's crazy. Right. So keeping with the sports theme, man. Here lately, the FedEx and Nike have put pressure on the Washington Redskins to rename their franchise. The Cleveland Indians are thinking about renaming as well. What do you think?
I think it's another example of people jumping on the bandwagon. A couple days ago, corporate sponsors for the Washington team have said that they're going to start pulling their sponsorship. Nike took all of their references to the
apparel
off of their websites.
Yep.
My thing is this has been in discussions for at least 4 years since the Kaepernick.
Yep.
I mean, we could just go back to when the Kaepernick issue started. This became an issue then, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Why is it like? That's why I said it feel like they're just jumping on the bandwagon, because if you was that sincere about it, you would have did it back then.
You would have been done it. Yeah, absolutely.
Now they're saying that minority owners of the team are threatening to sell over this. So it's like, my thing is, these type of acts, I don't give much credence, because it just seems like it's all about the timing.
It's all about the timing, all about protecting the brand.
Exactly.
Blah, whatever.
Trying to get out ahead of the story before it becomes a story.
Absolutely.
Because we just brought up Patrick Mahomes playing for the Chiefs. Like, are they going to change their names? The Atlanta Braves are in discussion about doing theirs. The Cleveland Indians, like,
and to be honest with you, bro, I don't think. Okay, anyone outside of the Redskins, for sure, I get it. You know what I'm saying? The Redskins, people deem that as racist. You know what I'm saying? For sure. I haven't heard anything about the Indians. I have heard things about Chief Wahoo, which is the Indians mascot, that being racial or whatever. The Braves, I haven't heard anything about that being racial, but I can understand what people were saying. They want it all changed. You know what I'm saying? So, continuing with the news. Go ahead.
1 second. One thing that me and you brought up the other day when we were discussing this is, for one, it's not our place to decide if it's offensive. And that's what it seems like to us, is that these rich billionaires are once again trying to control the narrative. Yeah, now they're trying to backtrack and save face by saying, hey, whoa, this happened way before us. Now it's a chance to do this. Well, you signed your name on that paper when you bought that team in 1980, whatever, or whenever you bought the team. Right. If it was a concern, it should have been a concern then. Right. You know, like, I mean, I know time changed and political correctness changes, but it should just be a concern in the light of the last couple months.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Right. All right, man. Now for the, I guess what we could call the biggest story in the news this past weekend.
If you want to call it that.
Right. Well, Kanye West has announced that he's running for president in 2020. You know, I would much rather...
He called me and asked if I...
Oh, my God. No, he didn't.
He called me and asked if I want to be his running mate. I don't know how Dre would feel about that. So.
Actually, Dre will be fine with that. So, but no, and to be honest with you, man, you know, just to be completely honest, I would much rather vote for Kanye West than I would for Joe Biden. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because look, if you think about it, Kanye West president, think about it. The inauguration album coming soon. You know what I'm saying? As soon as he gets into the office, man, inauguration album coming soon.
Petty.
You know what I'm saying? Which implies that we'll be getting the old Kanye back. You know what I'm saying? You got the graduation. You know what I'm saying? You got college dropout, the graduation, then you have the inauguration. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. You know, come on. So, you got late registration. I'm sorry, you got college dropout, late registration, then graduation, and then you have inauguration. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. We'll have old Kanye back. You know what I'm saying?
I know you're trying to be funny, but I think that's what he counting on, man. Seriously.
But you know what?
I think people counting on that shit.
But you know what?
But man, if you think about it, real quick though,
yeah,
we had a former actor and we got a present former reality TV show as president. So.
But hey. the thing is that it's too late for him to even get on the ticket. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too late for him to get even on the ticket, so you can't even take it seriously. And you know, I've gotten messages, oh man, a vote for Kanye is a vote for Trump. No, a vote for Kanye is a vote for Kanye. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even understand how you guys can rationalize voting for a guy who wrote the 94 crime bill. You know what I'm saying? How you can even rationalize that? Joe Biden been in politics. He's been a politician for 51, 52 years, and all of a sudden he has the answers. Like, no, bro. You know what I'm saying? And then he told you that if you didn't vote a certain way, you ain't black. I'm sorry, bro, but you can't have my vote. You know, and matter of fact, my vote don't even matter anyway when it comes to the presidential race because it's all done by electoral college. It's not about a popular vote. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything else statewide, everything else is popular vote. But electoral college, I have nothing to do with that. It doesn't matter. No, you don't.
It's based on the popular vote. That's how it determines the electoral college votes.
Well, like, you know what?
I mean, the overall popular vote doesn't count, but in
Joe Biden is going to win whether I vote for Donald Trump or not, which I won't be voting for a presidential candidate. I won't. You know, I haven't voted for a presidential candidate. I vote for everything else. You know what I'm saying? I look at the things that matter to me the most, and I vote for those things. Yay or nay. You know, whether it matters to me or not. So,
that's a whole nother show. And
absolutely.
I'm sure we'll have plenty of debate back and forth about whether you should vote or not, even if you don't
for sure.
Feel either of the candidates.
I'm down for that episode.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
So anyway, man, let's jump right into the. Well, no, you got something you want to say before?
I'm a straight meat and potatoes man.
No, it correlates with This correlates with the main topic. So let's go with it. I just want to start out by saying spoiler alert, because when I first started talking about the topic for this week in our group chat, somebody who appeared on one of our podcast episodes very recently was
Drew.
upset.
Shout out to the homie Drew.
Hey man, look here, man. Be quick on the trigger, dude. Just for reference, I watch the episode every week at 8:45 in the morning on Sunday. Okay,
for sure.
So, I was referencing this week's episode of The Chi, a series on Showtime. Common is one of the producers, along with, I forget her name. She's another African American woman that works in the industry. I find the show just real quick. I love the show overall. It's a semi-accurate depiction of life in Chicago.
Okay.
And I'm glad that they're giving up-and-coming Black actors and actresses a chance to be on the show and all of that. And I think with Common being one of the producers, he makes sure it stays Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't go completely Hollywood portrayal of Chicago, right?
Like Chirac.
Right, exactly. Don't get me started on that, man. So, so what I was saying in this episode, the title of the episode was called Bust Down, right? And
hold on. Yeah, please.
Go ahead. You go ahead. You can go ahead with your definition.
I was gonna ask you, can you please define bust down? You know what I'm saying? But because for us people who are not from Chicago, bust down, I was like, what? What the hell is that? So, okay, please explain to us what a bust down is.
So a bust down is like a whore, basically. Like a girl that gets around a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like multiple dudes that ran through her.
So a thought.
Yeah, basically. For sure. We've been saying bust down for a long time. So, that being said, one of the characters in the show is missing. A teenage girl, I believe she's 17 at the time, about to be 18, and was preparing to go off to college. She had track scholarship offers and things like that. And her brother's being bused to a private school outside of his community because he was an intelligent kid. But the thing that caught me in this episode was that she's been missing since the last episode, since episode 2. This is episode 3. The thing that got me is that her mom she ran into a lady whose son was killed in a season or 2 ago of this show. And that lady said, hey, I started a support group. Maybe we can help you look for your daughter because, the police aren't going to help the way they should. And this is what the support group is about it's women that has lost their kids to violence and things of that nature. And so, yeah, that's true. And so when she went to the support group meeting, yeah, Dre just sent me a message that threw me off for a little bit. The lady is fine as hell. Watch season 1, episode 3, I think. Anyway, when they went to this meeting with the support group, some of the members of the support group did exactly what they founded the group for. They wanted everybody's voice to be heard and everybody's child to matter. But some members of the support group were like, hey, your daughter got I forgot what website they call it, but it's like a site that teenagers use and put up racy pictures.
Yeah, it's like Finster or something like that.
Finster.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't know if we want our movement to be supporting her. And soon as they Google her name, they can start finding these racy pictures of her and things like that. and that basically she's known to get around and this and that. And she actually was messing with her track coach, an older man at one point.
Right. So and just to talk about that, you know, in that meeting, you know what I'm saying, you've already said spoiler alert, so you know what I'm saying, whatever. But in that meeting, you know, one of the missing girls' moms was like, hey, before your son got shot, didn't he rob a liquor store? You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and it was the same, she was telling that to one of the ladies who was like, we don't want to support that. You know what I'm saying? We seen her Finster account. You know what I'm saying? We seen all of this. We seen the half naked pictures she be posting. And they were like, well, your son robbed the liquor store before he got shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's good for you. It's good for your son to have a checkered past, but it's not good for our daughter to have a checkered past. You know what I'm saying? That was kind of crazy, and it was, you know, it was crazy.
It was brutally honest.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
And that's what brought me to today's question for our episode is victim shaming. It's like, should a person's past activities, criminal record, or whatever be a part of whatever the current problem is?
So,
you know, should that play a role in how we look towards helping or getting justice for these people that have been killed by police or in police custody, or you know?
So here's my take on it. No, it shouldn't, right? But at the same time, we also have to take into consideration that, you know, sometimes these people's checkered past might be the reason that they're in the situation that, you know, that they're in. You know, I mean, it's unfortunate, but sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you were, I don't know, let's say attacked. No, man, fuck that. No, it shouldn't take any effect on the situation that you're in. But
right. See,
go ahead.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, we're going to go back to, like, that's why I'm referencing the episode of The Shot, because this is an argument that rape victims have been saying for years. Like,
yeah,
my promiscuity or what you perceive to be promiscuous behavior or the way I dress does not justify me being raped.
Yeah, and that's exactly and that's exactly what I was thinking when I was saying on the track of saying whatever I was saying, and then I backtracked. I actually thought about that. You know, when you have a woman who dresses rather provocative or whatever the case may be, you know, short dress, halter top, you know, just because she's wearing those things doesn't mean she deserves to be raped. No, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, that's not it. You know, so I mean, something. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, and it's easy to sit here and say no to the question. No, victims' past activities should not have an effect on seeking justice. But then when you look on the other side of the coin, as we've talked about black on black crime, it seems to me that a lot of times we chalk up some of these deaths as, oh, well, that's the life you chose. And, you know, that's one of the consequences of the life you chose. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I know it's two different scenarios.
Right. So let's look at it like this. I think that in certain situations, you know what I'm saying? Certain situations, your past, you know, can come up and it affect how the situation happened. You know, if you were in a robbing banks and you got caught robbing a bank and you were shot and killed, then okay. You know what I'm saying? You were robbing banks. Or if a cop is extra aggressive with you because you domestic violence and they continuously respond to your house for domestic violence and you get roughed up, you know, it happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess cops are tired of that. You know, I believe that anybody who beats on a woman, you know, you deserve to get your ass whooped. I don't care who it is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, and that was a point that I was going to make. Like, I think it should be more of a case by case basis,
for sure.
But what seems to happen all the time is, Like, I'll go back to the Trayvon Martin case, right? This was a 17-year-old kid killed by a grown man coming from the store with a can of Arizona iced tea and some Skittles. Soon as the news media got word of the fact that he had been suspended for having trace amounts of marijuana, they want to run that narrative. Like, oh, maybe he was high. I mean, what does that have to do with that incident right there? Like you said, well, I can see if you have a violent criminal history where you've known to shoot at cops, and then that's relevant to the situation. You know what I'm saying? If he was making, if for instance there's a history of arrest for drug dealing, then maybe yes, him being suspended would have been contributory to.
And let's not forget that the media does that to paint pictures. You know what I'm saying? They paint pictures, and that's what their job is. They want to keep you intrigued. They want to keep you coming back for the next story. Yeah, albeit at the expense of African Americans. And it seems like it only happens with African Americans. You know, seeing as how we've had plenty of police brutality victims that when the pictures get posted, it's pictures of a mugshot. You know what I'm saying? Especially when they have a checkered past. You know, they always bring up a picture of a mugshot. They never bring up a picture of that dude smiling with his kids or that dude with a graduation cap on or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically what this is about. The media painting pictures. And however unfortunate it is, that's what we have. You know what I'm saying?
And it seems to me that as soon as one of these situations comes across the wire, instead of investigating the situation and getting all the facts about that particular situation, it seems like the media immediately sends out a excavation team to dig up dirt on the victim.
Right, but we can't just blame this on the media, because just like in the episode there, they were concerned about their daughter. And these other two moms was like, nah, I ain't with this. You know, she's known for being, I don't know what term they use, but she's known for being loose. You know what I'm saying? With provocative pictures on her Finster account. We've all seen it. You know what I'm saying? We all know she a hoe. That's basically what they were saying. Your daughter's a hoe. You know what I'm saying? Who's to say she's missing? And that's exactly what they said. They said, who's to say she's missing?
Yes.
Who's to say she's missing? You know what I'm saying?
So that's, again, part of our problem is that we're doing the same things to ourselves that we want justice and we want the heads to roll for other groups doing to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, these women were doing the same things that the cops might have said. Like, well, we found this Finster account and who's to say she's missing?
Right.
You know, instead of looking at the whole scenario, like now she's missing.
So basically, so what we're saying is that African Americans don't have the benefit of the doubt.
Exactly.
You don't get the benefit of the doubt when you're an African American, for sure.
I was thinking back to the Casey Anthony case. When her daughter went missing, they didn't start digging up dirt on Casey Anthony's promiscuous path until after the daughter's body was found. And then they were starting to try to build a case on her. You know what I'm saying? Like, it seems like when black people are a victim of something, it's immediate. You know, I go back to the Susan Smith case where she blamed two black men for carjacking her and driving her kids into the lake. And she did it herself. They didn't start digging up her past until evidence started coming out that she was lying. For like a week, if I remember correctly, they were stopping every black person they seen that they thought might have been connected with that. You know, like, that's the part that gets me. And, you know, I dug up a couple articles that I wanted to share basically about that. I'll share the links in the podcast. There's one called The Overrepresentation and Underrepresentation of African Americans and Latinos as Lawbreakers on Television News, right? This was published in January of 2006. I'm going to read a brief excerpt of the abstract of this article. And the article basically, and it's published in the Journal of Communications, Volume 50, Issue 2, right? They conducted a content analysis a random sample of local television news programming in Los Angeles and Orange counties to ascertain representation of blacks, Latinos, and whites as lawbreakers and law defenders. Intergroup comparisons of perpetrators, black and Latino versus white, revealed that black and Latinos are significantly more likely than whites to be portrayed as lawbreakers on television news. Inter-role comparisons, lawbreakers versus law defenders, revealed that blacks and Latinos are more likely to be portrayed as lawbreakers than defenders. So that's saying it right there, is that the dudes itself is portraying people of color as lawbreakers. So if that's the portrayal that you are overwhelmingly being sent to you, that's what they're going to look for, because apparently that's what sells newspapers and that's what boosts your ratings. So as soon as somebody's a victim of a crime, be it you got videotaping the George Floyd case, they're going to start trying to dig up his criminal past.
Which they did.
Instead of looking at
exactly. They did the same with Rashad Brooks.
Exactly.
Yeah, and countless other, Ahmaud Arbery, Aubrey.
Sandra Bland, Aubrey.
And it was countless others that were, killed due to police brutality. But that's for another topic. You know what I'm saying? So, and we'll talk about that soon. But the thing is, and it's not just so much as your criminal past. They also go into your parents, your brothers, your siblings. You know what I'm saying? Your siblings' criminal past. They look into everyone that's around you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, man, and sometimes we talked about this on the podcast a while back. The sins of the father are not the sins of the son. You know what I'm saying? Or the sins of the mother are not the sins of the daughter. And that could be led to persecution in the streets as well. Like, oh man, your mama a hoe, you must be a hoe too. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's an unfair stereotype. Women, oh man, it's hard for women, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like you dress a certain way and you're considered a hoe, man, and that's tough. I feel for anyone. I have a daughter myself, but I feel for anyone raising a young daughter in today's society, man. Where it's rough.
I think we need to spend a whole episode discussing the definition of what is a black man and a black.
But you know what I'm saying? We also deal with the
portrayals that we're seeing. Is that real, or should we be looking at another definition for what is a man and what is a woman? I don't know what your thoughts are on that. But real quick, I got another article I want to share with you. It's similar, again, relating to the media. It was published in the same journal, and it's Network News and Racial Beliefs, exploring the connection between national television news exposure and stereotypical perceptions of African Americans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it says... This is just a brief overview of the abstract. We'll put the links in the podcast so you guys can read the whole article if you like. A random survey of non-student adult residents was undertaken to determine whether exposure to network news had a detrimental effect on racial attitudes and perceptions of African Americans. After controlling for a number of factors, results revealed that exposure to network news depressed estimates of African American income. In addition, network news exposure increased the endorsement of African American stereotype, particularly the view that African Americans were poor and intimidating and were positively associated with higher racism scores. The theoretical and practical implications of these findings were discussed in the article. So again, I'll put the link if you want to read the whole article.
Yeah, for sure.
I just find that interesting, because I know that is a big part of our problem. And I always say that we have to clean up the way we are portrayed in the images of us as African Americans, as minorities, that is being sent out to everybody that aren't in constant contact with that group, And I think that's part of our biggest problem, is that we have to clean up that narrative, that imagery, that negative perceptions and stereotypes.
Yeah, I would agree. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, how can we clean that up to eliminate those type of stereotypes? You know, because if you think about it now, we're living in a society where people do shit for likes. People do shit, you know what I'm saying, on social media for likes. You know what I'm saying? And for the attention. So how do we eliminate those stereotypes?
Well, we as a people have to start changing what we deem is likable, if that makes sense, right?
Yes.
Instead of putting it out there that being ratchet, being reckless, being a thug, being a big time dope dealer is cool and that gets you more likes, let's put out more imagery of people graduating from college. Let's put out, more people starting their own businesses and doing things like that. Like if you look on social media now, half the time you see people smoking weed. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but if you're not established in your life and some companies still have to test you for drugs, how are you going to get a job? And then you're going to complain that there's no opportunities.
So
you see what I'm saying? Like all of these things kind of go hand in hand.
For sure. And there was something else in the episode that kind of caught my attention, and I was hoping you kind of mentioned it, because we talked about this as well, on previous podcasts, that there was a scene in the episode where they were in the classroom. The teacher, he was talking during the film. The teacher stopped and said, "Hey, you tell me what's happened up to this point." He didn't know what's happened, and the black girl sitting next to him kind of chimed in and got the answer right. She later caught him and his homeboy in the hallway and said, "Yo," and she basically said, "Yo, it's not many of us in this school." Like you said, they went to a private school. He was bused to a private school, and she pretty much pulled his coattail and said, "Hey, it's not many of us in this school. So I'm gonna need y'all to hold y'all shit. I'm gonna need y'all to get y'all shit together." And then she said, and she looked at the main character, I'm guessing, and said, "You are a king. You need to do better." You know what I'm saying? She told him, "You are a king. You need to do better." And it's obviously a girl that he digging. And you know what I'm saying? And so we talked about this on previous podcasts. Like I said, that if females demand better, they will get better. You know what I'm saying? Like dudes will get better.
That's exactly where I was about to go. Because in that scene, at the end of that little scene, that was so powerful, and I'm glad you reminded me of it. Because the girl, she told Kevin, which was the main character, and his black friend was next to him. She told Kevin, "You are a king. Stop acting like a peasant." Yeah. And the second she said that and started walking away, his friend, who's been around nothing but negativity most of his life, says, "Man, crazy. I can't stand her. Yeah, she crazy. I can't stand her." And in the Kevin same token,
he said, "She's amazing.
She's amazing." Yeah. Right. So that shows you the two separate mentalities right there. Guess what? If guys would change, like he ain't digging her, Kevin's friend's not digging her because she not saying the things that he wanted to hear.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So if we start, and I always said this, and people have got on me about this, but I always said it starts with our young women, right? Mm-hmm. If they start demanding more of the young men before they lay down and open their legs for them, a young man will do what they're demanding of them. You know what I'm saying? If more of them start doing it, if more of them say, if I'm in high school, I'm not going to have sex with you. You ain't even planning on going to college. Guess what? Or you don't even come to class. You know what I'm saying? Like, those type of little things will change guys, because at that young age, it's like, that's all that's part of the maturation process. It's starting to court and starting to date.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it in a nutshell, man. I think that it was a very powerful episode. This is the first time that I've ever seen the shot. I think I watched the first episode back when it came out, and I will go back and start from the beginning and watch this show. Because it seems like it's a a show that shows the true nature of Chicago, but it also shows that, hey, Chicago also had good people as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially when you say, hey, this is Chicago through and through. You know what I'm saying? And just from that episode, you see good people everywhere. And you see people battling those stereotypes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got the young dude, he's trying to get a business off the ground. And, you know what I'm saying? And then you had, man, the guy in the restaurant, he said, man, this is why he's like, man, you try to support a black business and then this stuff happened. Man, we got to kind of get out of that too. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to support our people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have to support our businesses. You know, now that doesn't mean black businesses, you charge me 100% over the motherfucking the price. You know what I'm saying? you add surcharges to me. You know what I'm saying? But
and that's another thing. It's like you want to try to support black businesses, right?
Yeah.
But then you get the ones that don't act in a professional manner. They want you to give them every break instead of the fact that I'm trying to support you. That is the break I'm giving you, right? And my word of mouth can help increase your business. I don't want you to give me a break because I order my food and you tell me to be ready in 10 minutes and 45 minutes later I'm still waiting with no recognition, no, you know what I'm saying? So it's like we got to be professional in our pursuits of things, you know?
Yeah, but at the same time, you can't expect greatness if you don't, you can't expect, not greatness, but if you don't do that same thing at a white establishment, you can't go into a black establishment and expect, like, yo, hey, you need to do this, that, and the other if you don't demand it at a white establishment. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
We gotta hold it to the same standards. You know
but if you want to get that same treatment and you want the same patriotism of the white establishment, you have to use that as a reference to what your business model should be. And that's what you're striving for. Yeah, I know if you just opened your doors yesterday, right? I know you're not going to be a well-oiled machine. You know what I'm saying? One of my favorite shows used to be Bar Rescue because he goes in and fix failing bars. And when he do that first little night of, let me see what you're doing, the stress test, it's all chaotic because they've been doing things wrong forever. Right. But then they grow and get better. So me personally, when I support black business, I try to take that into understanding and I look and see where the breakdown is. And if it's a correctable problem, that when I return to this establishment a couple weeks or a month or so down the line, that if I see improvement, then I will continue to patronize that establishment. Right. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. Well, we got a little bit off topic at the end, man. You know,
yes, sir.
We tried to eat the whole pie, as Johnny would say. You know what I'm saying? So, man, we're gonna get right back to it. I mean,
so straight meat and potatoes, man.
We're gonna start. Yeah. I see what you did there. I see what you did there. But yeah, I mean, you know, as always, man, it was a good podcast, man. You know, we doing our thing, man. Let's keep up the good work. You know, trying to bring the word to the people. You know what I'm saying? Why don't you go ahead and take us out with a summary, bro?
So yeah, my summary is that we have to stop victim shaming people. Everything that we said sums up to basically like this: we have to stop doing the same things that we don't want other people to do to us. Victim shaming, taking us for granted. Look, you know, that's my summary of it. And we have to start with a better impersonation of what black men and women, a better representation of what we want black men and women to be.
But how can we go about rectifying that or reversing that? I know we're at the end of the I know we're at the end of the podcast, but how do we go about changing that narrative?
We got to start reaching people younger before they get completely set in their ways, man. Like, you got a daughter. You got to talk to your daughter about the guys that she's going to find attractive because that's what she sees on social media. That's what she's around or she might see in her environment. But let her know that there are other guys out there that in the long run will be more beneficial than this what's popular at the moment. You know what I'm saying? We got to start there and let her know that just because somebody seems like he a lame or whatever you want to call him today, that doesn't mean that he ain't a good person, and that with your help and with you by his side, you never know what he might be. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people like to use Barack Obama for an example of everything, but I really do believe that the educated woman that Michelle is helped push him to achieve the presidency. You know what I'm saying? Because she was there.
And let's be honest, man. You know, my fathers out there who are raising daughters, you are an example of what she's looking for. So if you out here with the skinny jeans on, the tattoos and the gold chains and smoking weed and you ain't up to no good, that's what she's gonna look for. You know what I'm saying? You have to be the example. 100%. You have to be 100%. The example. And mothers, you have to be the example of what you want your son to bring home. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that to me, that's the real deal. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. Yeah. So,
I mean, we didn't even touch on the fact that artists and actors and things like that need to start accepting more positive roles and putting out more positive music and making it okay to listen to positive music.
Well, positive music ain't what sells.
Exactly. But if more,
it's not what sells in the black community. You know what I'm saying? There's so many people I've talked to about J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, you know, other rappers with positive messages, and not every other word is bitch, you know, suck my dick, do this, get on your knees, you know what I'm saying? Shit like that, or get on the track, bring me my money. It's more to music than just that. You know what I'm saying? If you got a positive message behind your music, I agree, let's push it, but that's not what sells. You know what I'm saying? And
but I'm just saying we gotta change what sells. If more of the mainstream artists that are doing the music that is selling, if they start putting out positive stuff, all of them at the same time, not one individual, because they're fearful that their brand is going to be lost. You know what I'm saying? If they all put out a concerted effort to do this, it could start changing. You know? And before we go, that reminded me of a quote from the guy that played Goldie on the Tila album from back in the day, Now or Never album. He said, "You so much of a pimp, let's see you put your mama out there on the track." That's what a real pimp would do. On that note, man.
Hold on, before we go, man, I heard a quote from a female. She said, "Hey, you a pimp?" She's like, "All that means is you can't get money on your own." Boom.
Right. On that note, let's get out of here.
You've been listening to Dre and Ron's Augmented Reality.
Yeah, over $40 million, $400 million in total. Did you see that just come in?
Nah.
Patrick Mahomes' 10-year extension worth over $400 million in total.
Man, get the fuck
Adam
out
Schefter. Yes, that's $40 million a year, dude.
Fucking shit.
And he could have been a fucking Chicago Bear.
Well, it is what it is.
Fuck you. Oh, shit. I forgot to start.